Good evening, my beautiful people. I have some real gems today for you. So, as I'm waiting for you to come and join me, I'm drinking tea made of lemon balm and raspberry leaves, and I'm going to tell you all about it when we all gather. We are just now it's 8 p.m. So a lot of people are outside clapping for the NHS, giving all the doctors and the nurses the expression of gratitude, love, and a big thank you for what they're doing in the world, what they're doing in England to look after people with lots and lots of love. So I'm also sending my appreciation and love from here, even though I'm not outside and clapping my hands. So let me see if I appear here and if I can be heard. How is the sound? Let me check if everybody can hear me. Yes, perfect. So thank you so much for joining me. And I want to share with you what I'm drinking this evening. So, you know, just before I started, I went to the garden to look after my plants. And specifically, I went to pick up some snails, and I don't kill them. I put them in a jar and I take them away to the forest. So they don't bother my plants and they don't eat them because they're only small. They're growing salads and rockets and beetroots and carrots. They're only tiny, so I don't want them to be eaten up. Just maybe some of them, but not all of them. And while I was there, I thought to myself, why don't I pick some tea for myself? And so I just wanted to share with you what I picked. So they all look so nice and delicious. Lemon balm, which is extremely good for calming the nervous system. It's good for the sleep, so it's good to drink it at night. And this one is raspberry leaf. So we have a lot of raspberries in the garden, and the raspberry is good for hormones and also for calming. It's good for digestion. And so the reason I'm drinking those teas because I love herbal teas, but also it's a great thing to do to bring your nervous system to the center and calm yourself down. And many, many years ago, when I discovered that there was something not quite right with me, I typically would notice it at night. I couldn't sleep and my heart was racing, my mind was racing, and I felt like someone sort of plugged me into electricity. And it took me probably about a few good weeks to discover that actually I had overactive thyroid, which leads me to a question the subject of today's conversation, which is intuition. And but while I was there in bed, I couldn't sleep, my heart was racing, I wasn't really feeling really good. I kept on asking my intuition, what's going on? What is my body trying to say to me? And what is really going on? And my attention kept on being brought into here and here. And I kept on looking, and I realized that, and this is where the seat of my hormones are. And when I discovered that I had overactive thyroid, the doctor wanted to put me straight away on very strong medication. But I had a very strong intuition that I can get myself better. So I thought to myself, if I can't get myself better, I will follow the instructions, the doctor's instructions. But I followed my intuition. I listened to the advice of my soul. And now many, many years later, I still haven't had any need to take any drugs. So I have to be very careful. I've got tendency to overactive thyroid. My thyroid now, it's okay. But one of the things that I discovered was that lemon balm, it's good to basically put a little bit of it in the garden, and now it grows everywhere. So I have the unlimited amount of lemon balm in my garden. So I highly recommend it because you can go and buy it, put it in your garden, and then it grows next year more and more and more. Very calming and very beautiful herb to have. But anyway, today I want to share with you something extremely important, and it is the importance of listening to your intuition. Now, particularly now, today, in those uncertain times when everybody seems to be confused, when we are really experiencing intense sense of uncertainty, and there's hardly anybody who knows when we're going to go back to work, when is it all going to change, how long we're going to be in our houses, how the businesses are going to be doing, how do we need to be looking after our health. And so in those moments, more than ever before, what we are needing to develop is we're already inside the houses, we can't go out there. What we need to develop more than ever before, it's connection to our intuitive voice, connection into our intuitive wisdom. And I've recently had many master classes in the past week since I have spoken to you. And in almost every single one of them, people came with questions, people came with confusion, that they didn't know quite what direction to take. They were desperately looking for answers to very important questions. And what they've all discovered, including myself, is that in almost every single case, they knew exactly the answer, but they didn't trust themselves to know what questions to ask, and they didn't leave the space. They didn't connect with the trust that there is some part in them that knows exactly what they need to do next, whether it's to do with health, with money, with work, with relationships, okay? And so here's the question that I have for you. What if you are an intuitive genius? What would you do if you could absolutely know for sure that any questions that you could ask, wise questions, could come with beautiful answers that will take you to your next step of expansion, that will take you where you need to go, okay? Now, the good news is that you are all intuitive geniuses. And I would love you, if I had one desire in my life, and only one, and I could only be granted one desire for other people, not for myself, that would be to have a superpower to wake everybody up, to touch them here, to wake everybody up, so they absolutely see the highest truth of their life, the situation, the political situation, any kind of situation, that they can see through and see what's going on for real, okay? So this is my truth. And what I would love to do today is to, in my small little way, is to take you a bit closer to that part of you that knows the answer. So if you stay with me all the way to the end, you can, we're going to do a little meditation, and I'm going to take you through a few steps which are going to take you closer to becoming clear about anything that you need to be clear about in your life, okay? So come and stay with me and find out how to connect to your intuitive power, intuitive wisdom, intuitive genius. I would actually say this intuitive genius. And I want to share with you a story, which some of you may know, that when I came first to this country, I left behind Poland, and together with Poland, I've left some unpleasant memories, some pain, some disappointments, but also when I was very young, I had a very developed intuitive ability. So I remember walking through the mountains. I kept on seeing things, and I saw angels, and I saw energy around the trees. I saw the energy in the forest. I could speak to the flowers and the trees, and I knew when people were lying, and I knew what I needed to do for myself. I knew what I needed to hide away from my father when he was a little bit drunk. So basically, I developed those specific abilities to do what I needed to do to look after myself and to be safe, which I've always remained in that space, that I tend to be the right place at the right time with the right people. And if it doesn't feel right, I basically take a different path. And but there was a moment in my life that I've forgotten that I was highly intuitive. I have left it on the side. I basically came to this country. I started working very hard, and I forgot all about it. So I didn't give it any attention. I just worked hard. I was building my new life in London. And I remember one day something someone recommended that I go and see a psychic. And so I basically booked a session with her, and all I wanted to ask her was about my work and my next steps. And I went to see her, and it was a very lovely blonde lady in her 50s, I remember. And she basically sat me down, she looked at me and she said, "What are you doing here? You're extremely intuitive. You can easily do what I do." And I thought to myself, well, I don't know if I would want to do what you're doing, but nevertheless, she said, you know, you're so good. I tell you what you're going to be doing in the future. And she was quite right, actually. Everything she said was quite spot on. And now looking back, so many years back, 20 years or more, I have to say she was quite right. She said to me, you know, if you want, I can teach you, okay? And you can come to see me every week for a few months, and then you'll be able to do what I do. And I thought to myself, yeah, it's a fair deal. She said, you can cook, you can clean for me, and I'll teach you. I said, fantastic, let's go for it. But you know what happened? I just went for the first session, and she sat me down. We went through a little relaxation technique for meditation. And when I was very calm and very relaxed, she kept on asking me questions. And I quite precisely answered them. The answers came God knows from where, obviously. And she said, "Oh gosh, that's quite spot on. Oh gosh, that's really good." And when we finished the session, she said to me, "I don't think you ever need to come to see me ever again. Just do what you've done today. Just follow those few steps, and you'll be fine." I said, "Really? I was so much looking forward to learning with you." And she said, "No, you don't need to come ever again to see me." So as I have already then trained as an NLP master practitioner, and I was already started seeing clients at very sort of early age, in my early 20s, I started applying very few little things that she taught me, ever so slightly, ever so tiny. And I thought to myself, what if this ability of mine is going to help me with working with my clients? What if I can be better at what I do, and they don't even need to basically find out what I do? So I started bringing a little bit of that intuitive wisdom into my sessions, and people were quite shocked. They were quite surprised. Like, how do you know that? Nobody knows this about me. That was long before the internet and all of that. I couldn't have Googled this about them. So I went every day through certain questions before I saw my clients that I came up with myself. I decided to find out those questions. And I asked those questions like, what is their life's purpose? What is sort of stopping them from what they really truly want to get? What is the greatest gifts and talents? What do I need to do to help them? What does their soul want them to do? So I was asking questions, different questions like that. And what I've discovered that maybe 90% of the time I was always right. And the other 10%, I was maybe not quite right. But then later on, they would call me or message me and they would say, yes, it was actually spot on. But it only came 5 years later. And so then I have learned one of the most powerful lessons in my life in those first few years of my experiences with intuition in London. What I have learned was that, yes, that we are all intuitive geniuses, every single one of us. But there's two things that stop us from being connected with it. Number one is not actually recognizing it, that it's there for you to be healthier, more successful, more impactful, more happy. I mean, the intuition is a little bit like you are born with 2 eyes so you can see, you are born with 2 ears so you can hear, you're born with your heart so you can love, you're born with your legs so you can walk, and you're born with your intuition so you can make right decisions, right for you, right for your soul's journey, so you don't make mistakes. It's not possible to make mistakes because whatever decisions you make, you'll get to where you need to get. But I suppose when you use intuition, you go more straight line. And if you don't use intuition, you may be sort of meandering a little bit, going up and down. So when we don't listen to intuition, the ups and downs are much higher. I don't know if you agree with me. Do you agree with me? What is your thought of that? If we don't listen to our intuition, what happens? What are the most tragic situation that you got yourself into by not listening to intuition? And what are the best things you got yourself into, or achieved, or successfully experienced because you've trusted your intuition? I would absolutely love to hear this from you. But anyway, following this story, so I have basically discovered then that part of my sessions could be intuitive readings, and then the other part I was doing everything else I have learned, the therapeutic interventions, the NLP, and so on and so forth. And but then I've discovered that all my clients, if I ask them right questions, if they ask themselves right questions, all of them, but every single one of them, knows the answers. So I never needed to actually essentially tell anybody anything. I could, but at the end of the day, isn't it better if people answered those important questions themselves? And so you remember at the end, in the beginning, I said there's two things that need to happen for us to really, truly, successfully use our intuition. So one is to recognize it. To recognize that, yes, I've got eyes, I can see, okay? I've got my intuition, I can use it. It's a little bit like if you could speak French, but you never used it, you never spoke. I mean, some people learn French or Italian, but they don't actually use the language, so they forget how to use it. They can sort of understand, but the more you use it, the better you become at it. It's just like anything. The more you use, record videos on Facebook, the better you become at it. It's not a big deal. And so I truly today want to encourage you to start using the intuition more than ever before. And even today and yesterday, I was taking people from a masterclass, and they thought they had this big problem or this big question that they could maybe need to hire an expert or someone to tell them what to do. But carefully asked question in the right state of mind, and in every single case, they were connected with the right answer. They received the right answer. They got clarity of what they needed to do next. So the lesson and the message in every case is this: bloody have intuition, you bloody use it, okay? Because if you don't use it, there will be more of those unnecessary ups and downs, okay? So now I wanted to share with you 4 little things that I would like you to maybe make a note of or remember. So number 1, what I would love you to do, and I would love you to do that from today, is I would love you to test that. If what I'm saying is true, then I would like you to come back to me next week and say, yes, Gosha, I've done what you've said, and I can absolutely truly say that what you're saying is true, or what you're saying is neutral, or what you're saying is not true. But I would love you to engage with that, because I feel quite passionate about it, that we waste a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of opportunities, we experience a lot of heartache unnecessarily because we ignore our intuition. So number 1, I would love you to open up to your intuitive genius, to basically acknowledge that you are one. I am an intuitive genius, and if so, what am I going to do with it? So that's number 1. Number 2, I want you to become friends with it, okay? So you've just met your intuitive genius, but you need to get to know it. You need to get to know how it works. You need to get to know its language. You need to become friends. It's like if you've just met someone and you like them, or could become your new lover. I mean, you're not just going to jump to bed with them straight away. You need to get to know them. You need to ask them questions. You need to find out how they tick, what they like, what they don't like. The same thing happens with your intuition. So you meet them, you meet your intuition, you acknowledge that it's amazing, it's your genius, and you play with it. And then you go on this journey and you become friends with it. You make a decision and you want to learn its language, because my intuition probably works in a very different way to yours. There's no two people who have the same way of receiving intuitive messages. There's some similarities, and I have created a whole program about it, which I'll talk to you about very soon. But the most important thing is that you create space for this. Right? Once you've acknowledged I'm an intuitive genius, once you've said, okay, I want to get to know its language, and I want to learn how my intuition works. Number 3 is that you need to create space on a daily basis to meet it and start communicating with it, okay? And again, this is different for everybody. For some of my friends, when they are running, when they are in nature, when I'm in nature, I come up with very important answers. So you need to basically give yourself time when you are in uninterrupted, peaceful state. That could be in the first thing in the morning. That could be the last thing at night. The things that help is breathing, stillness, prayer, dancing, meditation, movement. So the stillness could be inner stillness. You could be moving and dancing, and you could be feeling into what you need to do. I have a friend who, she was always very confused. And then one day I met her and I said, how are you? And she said, I am doing fantastically well. She said, I've never been happier. Everything is falling into place. And I said to her, well, what's different? You've always been so confused. And she said, I dance my way to clarity. She said, if I'm not quite sure what to do, I put the music on and I start dancing, and my body is guiding me to what I need to do next. So for her, it was important to create this sacred space where she connected with herself, and when she danced, and then she knew exactly what to do, right? Let me see the comments. What are people saying here? Sylvia, Marek, Agnieszka, you're always right. This is what I know for sure. Yes, my best friend Agnieszka says I'm always right, and I think she is right. Thank you, Agnieszka. So what is it that you could do every day, whether it's for 5 minutes, whether it's for 5 hours, whether it's for a second or two, which will help you to reconnect with your intuitive genius? So remember, you are already an intuitive genius. Maybe you've never acknowledged it, maybe you've never realized it, but you are. And I am absolutely passionate about it, and I know this 100% for sure. If you pay attention to it, the intuition will feel like acknowledged. Okay, fantastic. Now, how do we pay attention to our intuition? So the moment you become still or stiller and you start paying attention to your quiet voice inside, the next thing to do is asking questions, okay? And I often talk about this, and I've talked about it many, many times already on those podcasts and on those videos. But the most important thing is to ask questions which are directly connected to where you want to go, rather than taking you away from where you are desiring to move towards. So it's no good to ask, why am I always so unhappy? Asking your intuition. Your intuition go, this is not the right question, mate. Honestly, that's not the right direction. Well, asking if you're not happy, what do I need to do to be happier? What do I need to do to be healthier? What do I need to do to get a new job? Or what do I need to do next to start the most successful business? What do I need to do to open up to a new relationship? What do I need to do to heal the current one? All of those questions will affect the quality of your life, but it will definitely switch the intuition on. So intuition loves good questions. Intuition thrives on good questions. But if you're fearful, we talked about fear last week, so I'm not going to be focusing on it, but if you're fearful, if you are rushed, if you are panicked, if you are exhausted, if you are ungrounded, then obviously intuition, it's not going to be working very well, because the channels are not open and not flowing properly. Therefore, if you take everyday care of your state and you take care of your asking right questions, particularly in the morning, particularly in the evening, then the intuition will start giving you the answers. Now, of course, people could say, well, what is intuition? Who is speaking to me? There is many different answers to this. My simplest answer is that this is your divine wisdom, is part of you. It's hardwired into when you were born. Intuition comes in with you just like you have your head. Nobody's essentially born without a head. Nobody's born without a heart. Nobody is born without intuition. You come in, you are being given this to survive, okay? And so the most important thing is that if you acknowledge you have it and you start asking wise questions, then you will be getting right answers, okay? But if you never stop to ask the questions, you're never still, if you're constantly afraid, the intuition could be shouting at you, and most likely it is actually, because all the experiences that we're having in our life, particularly ones that are a bit difficult, accidents, situation where we have sudden things happening to us, accidents, not just car accidents, but any accidents, are usually the last stage of our intuition shouting and screaming at us, including getting seriously sick. Typically, when I've worked with cancer patients, they typically would tell me that they kept on having messages over the past 5, 6, 10 years, but they were sort of ignoring it. And often it was due to being too busy, too stressed out, too responsible for other people. And they thought that they didn't have time to stop and listen. Okay, so the questions. Now, I would love to share with you a couple of questions today that I asked myself, specifically recently. And those questions are something that really, truly keep me going on straight and narrow, specifically now in those crazy times. So one of those questions is, what is the highest truth about the situation? So if you are in a situation that is a little bit confusing, challenging, difficult, it could be that there is something going on, but you do not want to see the truth. Whether it's the truth about relationship, the truth about work, the truth about maybe needing to change direction, specifically now, we need to maybe reinvent ourselves to move forward, right? So what is the highest truth about the situation? Okay, and when I say the highest, because you see, I think when we look at things, we can look at different truths. There could be the lower truth, and there could be the higher truth, and there could be a truth in the middle. Some people say, well, it's either true or it's not true. Well, there are levels of depth of seeing things. So even the situation that is happening right now, that in the world, about all the virus and all of that, even that, you know, depending where you look at and which level you look at and which angle you look at, you can see that very differently. And so even in the situation politically that it's happening right now, and all the decisions are being made, when I move myself above this whole situation, and I look at it from above, from the higher perspective, and I ask, what is the absolute truth about the situation? Then I'm getting very, very, very different answers to when I'm panicked in my body and confused and stressed out. There could be a different truth about it, right? So remember, in order to see the highest truth, you need to be somewhat detached. You need to be connected with your soul. You need to be quite relaxed, quite peaceful, quite detached from everything that's going on. The way I do it is I check myself out and I look from higher above, and I see the truth of what's going on in my life, in other people's lives, in the businesses that I sometimes scan for what's going on there. And I highly recommend that you do the same. And we're going to come to this in a moment when I come into the meditation. And the other question that I ask myself now, and I also recommend that other people ask themselves, is what is the highest path for me now? So again, I could go in different directions and it will be all right. But when I look into the future and I ask the highest path for me to be really revealed for my life, I see the best option of all the options. There is unlimited amount of possibilities and choices. I sometimes my clients ask me, do you think I should do A, I should do this, I should stay with my wife, or B, I should actually leave her and go with someone else? And obviously it's not for me to answer this question. The person needs to find the answer themselves. But the important thing is that there is multiple possibilities or choices that may happen if they take those paths. But there is a path that is the highest path for the soul to move forward, to grow, to expand, to shift, and to become even more advanced. Okay, I don't know if this makes sense. I'm looking at the comments, but so now I have created an exercise many years ago that I call 2 screens. Screen A is where you are right now. So basically you imagining yourself sitting in the cinema and looking at your life in a very detached way, eating popcorn, right? or just sitting and looking. And basically looking as it is, without any judgment, and seeing what's going on. And then you look at a screen B, when what you are struggling with what you want to resolve is shifted, is changed, is it's in its highest form, when everything has passed, when the difficulties have moved and you shifted. And in the screen B, okay, you look at the screen B, ask your soul to reveal to you how your life looks to you when things have shifted, changed, and became in the best possible way. Then you look at the screen, you basically spot the difference between screen A and screen B, and then you know what to do. Okay, but then the next thing obviously is to trust what you're seeing. And the best thing to do is to write it down, because often, we get the information and we ignore it, we don't follow it, we go, oh, that's interesting, and we go back to the madness of everyday life, and we keep on asking other people, what do you think? We ask friends, and what do you think? What do you think I should do? I should do this, I should do that, which is wonderful to ask friends for advice. But on the other hand, I want to remind you, what if you are an intuitive genius? What if you already right now have all the answers that you could possibly ask for? What if, okay? So there's someone who's written me a message. Yes, hi Gosha, thank you. I'll try and practice this during this week. Yes, so basically, just to bring everything together before we do our meditation, please decide today, decide now, I'm going to become even greater friend to my intuition. And how would you treat a friend? You'd love them, you would call them, you would leave a message, you would speak to them, you would check in how they're feeling, you would maybe ask them for their opinion on things, and you would look after them. Yeah, you will stay in connection. That's exactly what I would love you to do with your intuition. Create space where your intuition will thrive, and you would know your intuition will difficult to say. You will know your intuition will thrive if you thrive yourself. Okay, so anything that gives you joy, peace, serenity, flow, your intuition will love too. Okay, and I remember, 2 years ago when I was in Greece, in Delphi, the ancient Delphi, where the oracle was answering questions all those thousands of years ago, the people would come from thousands of miles away to Delphi to answer questions. And there was this a priestess who would basically go into trance she would basically go into meditation, and she would meditate, and the answers were revealed for this person. But the priests would say to people, if you don't know what to do and you can't get to the priestess, because you can't keep on coming every week or every day, you don't know what to do, you need to go and connect with the silence. That's what they used to say all those years ago. And people had the same problems: money, house, relationships, health, exactly the same things. And there was the same answer: you don't know what to do, ask your intuition, connect with the silence. Okay, so now we're going to go into our meditation, and I would love you to think about a question that you have. And I mean, if you're still here with me, I would love you to write a question maybe that you have that you'd like to answer, and maybe I could correct it a little bit, because the quality of the answer is very much linked to the quality of the question. So what would you love your intuition to reveal to you? What would you like to find out about the next 6 days? What questions do you have you would absolutely love your intuition to answer you? And so once you know the question, you could maybe write it down on a piece of paper. And we are going to be, in a very detached way, forgetting the question altogether. We're going to go into a place of connecting with your intuitive wisdom. So if you're with me, just take a deep breath in, close your eyes, darlings, put your feet firmly on the ground. And as you are sitting there, please connect with the sense of gratitude that you have found some peaceful time to listen to this. Because if you're listening to this now, or you're listening to this when there is a replay, you are absolutely 100% are an intuitive genius, and you needed to hear it. And it means that your soul is calling you, desperately calling you for attention, because maybe there is something very important that you need to know. And today is the time when this important journey of stronger intuitive bond with your intuitive genius starts. So breathe into your heart, allow your body to relax, and allow yourself now to let go of anything that you don't need anymore. So all the things from today, all the things you've been working on, all the things that you may be worried about, just allow yourself to be released in the avalanches of light. So just see this light pouring from the top of your head, from above your head, through your brain, into your chest, into the rest of your body, and it basically being washed out of you. So it's beautifully cleansed and it's beautifully washed out of you. Everything, it's like having a shower before going to sleep. All the energy, all the worries, all the thoughts, all the ideas, everything is being cleansed beautifully and leaving silent, peaceful, still, beautiful space. And now what I would love you to do, when you breathe one more time into your heart, see this beautiful golden light pouring out of your heart in all directions, making space around you and touching in a magical way everything around you, in all directions, in your house, in your country, in your life, in your family. And this light is pouring out of you and making space for miracles, making space for clarity. And right now, I would love you to make a decision at this moment that you are opening up to your intuitive genius. Just make a decision in your mind. I am saying yes to my intuitive wisdom. I'm saying yes to my intuitive genius. And from now on, I am intending to become friends with it and start receiving wise, powerful answers from the highest source of wisdom, the highest of the highest, from the source, which is love. And as you are now sitting here, I want you to gently bring your attention to your middle of your forehead. It's ancient people call it third eye, and this is where we actually see through as well. This is where the chakra is responsible for the highest seeing, for the intuition. And so I would love you to imagine that there's a beautiful golden light slowly opening up and pouring out of your forehead. And as this light is pouring out, very softly, very gently, it's going in all directions, and it is clearing any cobwebs of confusion, cobwebs of not knowing, for cobwebs of ignoring your wisdom. And imagine if there's any rusty places on all those pipes through which the wisdom would normally flow. It's like tubes of wisdom. Imagine that they are being oiled, removed, replaced, and beautiful golden wide pipes through which the wisdom will come are being now put in next to your third eye. Okay, so just see those beautiful golden pipes or a pipe, one pipe or few pipes, and basically say to yourself, I'm opening myself to knowing, I'm opening myself to higher guidance, opening myself to right decisions, good for me and everyone else. And as this light is pouring out of your third eye, it's basically making a way for right decisions, right opinions, right directions in your life. And so if the light is flowing, what I would love you to do is to ask your guardian angel to look after you at this moment in time, and ask your guides, your angels, to support you in always knowing what to do. Just ask them to help you and say, look, I want to absolutely know, what do I need to do about this, that, my situation in my life? What do I need to do now? What's the next step? Please show me. And now I want you to pick up something in your life that you want to illuminate with your knowing, some decision that you have that you may not know exactly what to do about. Whatever it is, I want you to almost imagine that you're looking at the situation as if it was someone else. So you detach yourself from it. You can even imagine that you sort of look at it from above, from floating higher up, like on the ceiling or even higher, and you look down at the situation and ask yourself, or ask your intuitive wisdom, what is the highest truth about the situation? What is the highest truth? What is the actual truth? So leaving all the confusion and all the chaos and all the drama that is maybe surrounding it, when you look at it from far away, what is the truth? Your soul's truth. So it's like you have a shining light, and you put the light upon it and see where the light lands, which aspect of that situation, which element, which angle. Something will be illuminated. And then what I would like you to do is to look on the other side, or to the right, there is another screen. And this screen is showing you the future, the best possible, the highest future. When everything is sorted, the question that you're asking, it's now answered in the future. And screen B is where everything is beautifully fine. You're healthy, you're well, you're successful, you're wealthy, and everything, it's flowing the way you would love or better. When you look at that screen, just check very nicely what's different about it. What's different about you? What are you doing in this screen which you're not doing in screen A? And just basically see what is your highest path. What is the highest path there? What are you doing? How are you being? What decisions are you making which you were not doing in screen A? And now, what I would love you to do is to ask yourself one last question. What is the most important thing that I need to know this moment, this time, before even I open my eyes, that will help me to shift my life, help me to shift this situation for the better? What do I need to know? What do I need to do? And then take a deep breath in, breathe out. Send love to the rest of the day. If you're listening to it this evening, just send love to the rest of your day and illuminate your sleep. Deep sense of rest, deep sense of relaxation, and lots of love, wrapping yourself up in at night with a very healing and powerful energy, so your whole body heals and rejuvenates at night. And if you're listening to it at a different time of the day, send love across your whole day, blessing people, situations, opening new doorways, new opportunities, sending love to everybody you're going to talk to, come in touch with, and see your day being filled with success, love, and light. And the highest version of your life is taking place because you've sent blessings and love ahead of the time. And then take a very gentle deep breath in, return into your body, come back from your third eye into your heart, connect yourself with your feet and the earth, feel yourself grounded like a tree. You're solid and grounded like a tree. And then you take a deep breath in, breathe out, take another deep breath in, breathe out, and slowly but gently open your eyes. To my great delight, I see that my lovely friend John Spear has answered. She asked, what is my next step? Johnny, have you received the answer in the meditation, what your next step is? I would love to know. If you haven't, I would love to support you in that. Renata says she's very glad that she was here today because she had lovely memories from the workshop in Intuitive Workshop in Fulham Broadway. Absolutely, I also have wonderful memories of this. Okay, so we have been together for almost an hour. I am deeply grateful for your attention and time. So I know I've been saying this already 20 times, but I will say it again. Make a decision tonight that even if you're very intuitive, I would love you to make a decision that for the next 6 days, you're going to be even more present to your intuition. You're going to ask better questions. You're going to listen. You're going to make notes. And you're going to assume that your intuition is very eager to give you the answers, and trust your intuition, act upon what you're getting. Don't wait. If you feel drawn to do something, make that phone call, make the step, do it. Don't wait. Okay? So I'm looking forward to seeing you next week, and I will record a separate video about the course which I am kicking off, the beta course. I will need about 10 people to join me on it to test how well it works, but more about it I will record separately soon. And for now, sending you lots of love, big hug, have a beautiful evening, have a beautiful day, lots of love.